Department of Nutrition at St.Ann College for Women, Hyderabad. Respected dignitaries from various fields of nutrition, our most learned and esteemed speaker, academicians from various institutes, health professionals, students, and solicitous participants from all over the state and India. It gives me immense pleasure to extend a warm welcome to you all on behalf of Department of Nutrition at St.Ann College. We are highly obliged and deeply grateful to our speaker, Dr. Kaveri Datta. Welcome, ma'am, for accepting our invitation to be the speakers for the webinar.
Thank you.
Nutrition Month is an annual nutrition event of great importance and is observed in our country as National Nutrition Month. Earlier, it was Nutrition Week from 1st to 7th September every year since 1982. Now it has been observed all 11 months as Poshan Maha, with the target of achieving malnutrition-free India, Kuposhan Mukt Bharat, Sakshar Bharat. I request all the participants to mute them. ICT team can take up the charge, please. Kuposhit, Sakshar, and Sashakt Bharat. With this theme, we move ahead, and we as a department are all involved in many nutrition awareness programs and encouraging the Kuposhit Bharat. I welcome you all once again. May I now request our Assistant Professor, Mrs. Hannah Jessie Francis, to lead us through the prayer.
Thank you, ma'am. Today's scripture portion is taken from the book Proverbs, 2nd chapter, 6 to 10 verses. For the Lord gives wisdom, from his mouth come knowledge and understanding. He stores up sound for the upright. He is a shield to those who walk uprightly. He guards the path of justice and preserves the way of his saints. Then you will understand righteousness and justice, equity and every good path. When wisdom enters your heart and knowledge is pleasant to your soul. This is the word of the Lord. Thanks be to Lord.
Thank you, Jessie. Now, ma'am, welcome again to the international webinar, and we welcome our guests as usual with a green greeting. Dr. Kaveri, please, for the green greeting, we would like to have Dr. Kaveri, please accept our green greeting in this international webinar.
Thanks. That's really nice.
What's your green greeting?
Very innovative. Yeah, very nice. Thanks.
Thank you. And I now request to start with lamp lighting. Viola, lamp lighting.
Yes, ma'am.
Let us make our program auspicious by lighting a lamp as a significance to bow down to knowledge as the greatest of all forms of wealth. I now request the technical support to present the slide of digital lamp lighting. All right. To just have an overview of the department, ma'am. Our department at St.Ann College is Department of Nutrition, and we have our BSc, Department of Applied Nutrition and Public Health, PG Diploma in Nutrition, and MSc Clinical Nutrition and Dietetics.
Do you have a master's as well in public health and dietetics both?
Not public health. We have BSc in public health, nutrition and public health. Master's in physical nutrition. And as we go on with the vision, it is about advancement and application of nutrition science for the promotion of well-being of society and equipping students with relevant and substantial knowledge and skills. And our department has been established in 1988 by Dr. Meena Patange, our head of the department, and with an objective of making the students comprehend the concepts of nutrition and gain control over the subject to be applied in day-to-day life. So we are now at present 8 faculty with the department and more than 350 students. So when it started, it ma'am.
Very good numbers.
Yes, yes. And we try, it has become our passion to train the students and also make them excel in their careers. Of course, ensuring employability is one of the objectives. Next slide, Fiona. So these are our faculty, as I was saying, Dr. Meena Patange is the head of the department, and she's the one who has initiated the department and has 35 years of experience, and rest of us, Nasreen, Uruja, me, Jessie, Dr. Parul has joined us soon, and Shimaila and Khushbu, who was in touch with you. So this is our team. Yes, next slide, Beulah. Yeah. So I'm now I take pleasure. I think I can request all of you to on your videos, dear participants, so that it could be an interactive session also. We have our guest speaker with us, and I take pride in introducing our guest speaker, Dr. Kaveri Pathak, who is a well-known nutrition and dietetic expert who has been a major voice in the dissemination of nutrition information. Since February 2010, Dr. Kaveri has been a member of Dietetic Association of Australia. In 2018, she has received a PhD from Curtin University. In 2011, she also worked as a research assistant for a study on assessing metabolic rates for 5 years as a demonstrator for nutrition science, and nutrition physiology was her subject. She began her career as a lecturer at St.Ann University in Jodhpur and also extended her services at Curtin College. Ma'am has a tremendous experience as a consultant dietitian at Forest Lakes Medical Center from 2011 to present, and she's also working as a senior dietitian at My Health Clinic from November 22 to present. Ma'am has a tremendous contribution in international research work in various peer-reviewed publications, amongst which the highlight is hypothesized pathways for the association of vitamin D status and insulin sensitivity, testing energy expenditure, a cross-sectional mediation analysis in Australian adults of European ancestry 2022, olive oil and postprandial energy metabolism, implications for weight loss, and to find out if there are many more in Ma'am's hand. And very interesting topics, ma'am. She's been honored with various awards. If it was an offline one, you would have got many applause from our students. So
I accept that. I mean.
Yes. The NSA Emerging Researcher Award in 2014, and CAPSA Best Oral Presentation Award in 2014, and the NSA Travel and so on. We heartily welcome you, ma'am, for this international webinar.
Thank you very much. I think that was very elaborated and exaggerated introduction, but
No, that is what you are, and our students need to know all these.
Yeah, I try to do all of the things. Like I'm into teaching, I'm into research, and I'm also into clinical practice. So I try to do everything because your experience adds into teaching, and the teaching things they add into your clinical practice. That's really good.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Over to you, ma'am. You would like the presentation to be shared by our girls? Or,
anything is fine. If I am able to share, I can share. Yeah, I can share, I think.
Beulah, just stop and see, or maybe you can start with ma'am's presentation. Anything is fine. Yeah, you're able to share, ma'am.
Can you see my screen?
Yes, yes. We are able to.
Okay. All right. That's good then. Okay. So today the topic of our discussion is precision nutrition. So what we are going to learn, what it is, and why are we actually talking about it. It's very recent topic. You might have come across this term, but we need to understand the real meaning of precision nutrition and why it is so important. So if you go and buy, you're going for shopping and you're looking for a shoes, you're always looking for one particular that fits you completely, right? There is no shoe that fits to everyone. Same is for our clothes.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt you. Are you
Yeah.
and start sharing your PPT?
Is
Or
it not?
No,
Can't
your,
you see?
no, your desktop is visible, but
Oh,
not
really?
I'm able to see the desktop precision nutrition icon there, but it has to be,
It is sharing my screen on my computer.
now it is not sharing.
I just stopped.
I think Viola, you can continue sharing.
Ma'am, can I share the
Yeah, you
presentation?
can share it. Yeah, if it's ready, just share. I think it will be easier for you then.
Okay, ma'am.
Yeah, Simela can do it. And also participants, you can on your videos, and it is being live streamed also, because ma'am, the number of participants are more than 100. And
really?
yeah, so YouTube also it is being shared. So many of them have joined there along with their friends also. So we will share you the YouTube link once it is done.
Yeah,
I
that
think-
will be nice. Thanks.
Yeah. Simela, it's the other PPT.
Yes, ma'am, I'm just sharing it.
Yes, yes.
Ma'am, is the presentation now visible?
Yes, it is. Yeah. All right. Okay, shall I start now?
Yes, please. Yes, please.
Okay. Will I be able to switch the slide or no? No.
No, she will do it for you.
So somebody, yeah, thanks. All right. So coming back to the shoes, can one size of shoe fit everyone? Different ages, different people, different dresses. We need different types of shoes, right? And let's have a look at the clothes. Can we move to the next? Can one dress fit everyone? Again, the answer is no. Because if you are a guy, you cannot wear this. If you're an old person, maybe not the right one for you. If you're a child, maybe not the one for you. So everyone needs a very, specific size or the pattern or the color or, whatever type of dresses that we like. Next, please. So if we need different shoes and different dresses for everyone, can we have just one strategy for nutrition for all our clients? Can we just have, okay, these are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 points, and if everyone follows these 5 things, everyone is going to be healthy and yeah, nutrition wise, you'll be perfect. Well, you can't say that. And why is that? Every one of us are special. everyone is special. Everyone has different requirements. Everyone might have different genetics. Everyone is in different life cycle, on a different stage of life cycle. Somebody needs some extra special consideration. Some people are growing. Some people are taking care of somebody else. So their nutrition requirements are a bit different. Next one. Thank you. So we need precision nutrition. Precision means, as the word says, precise. It has to be really right, really accurate for each and everyone. Now, how can we do that? I know it's really difficult that we have so many individuals. It's really impossible to create different plans for everyone. So we definitely need certain guidelines, but then how we can come to precision nutrition at the end. The main things that actually define or decide how we can plan or come up with a nutrition plan for our clients is to have a look at the dietary habits. I'll go into more details about dietary habits. Physical activity, because different people, if somebody is in sports, their requirements are different. If somebody is sedentary, their requirements are different. Other lifestyle modifications, if somebody is is alcoholic, then their requirements would be different. They might need some extra help somewhere. If somebody is a smoker, then we might need some other nutrition support plan for them. Demographic and clinical features. We, of course, as a dietitian, we always look at these situations. Where do they live? Where do these your clients are coming from? How much do they earn? What are their education? What is their background? Because this all gives us a picture about the client, which helps us, enables us to design a plan for them. Again, we are going to discuss how this is so important. And clinical features, if you look at their skin type, their hair type, nails. As a nutritionist, we can make a clinical judgment on these characteristics, that this person might be deficient in iron, or there is some vitamin C problem or magnesium deficiency. We can have a look at the clinical features and find out, right? Now, there are three other components which are very, very much in the news, but maybe right now they are not very much integral part of dietetics, because there are a lot of other things involved with it. So one of them is nutrigenomics and genetics. So this is the science or the study about nutritional genomics. Science studies that are studying relationship between human genome and human nutrition and health. This is a little bit more advanced study, and it's not currently a part of our dietetics. So there are some more advanced courses that you need to do that. Metagenomics, which is a study of structure and function of extranucleotide sequences. So again, DNA, RNA, and those sequences, and it's more advanced study. After doing a dietetic study, if you are interested, you can go into and choose a specific area, and then you can be an expert of this. The third one is metabolomics, which is study of metabolites. So the cells and the fluids, tissues, and your different organs. If you've heard the word of phenotype, so how did that come into existence? It's about phenotype. So you belong to a certain structure. You have certain tissues in you, and you have certain, you are made up of certain group of tissues or cells, and it's named differently. So you are named according to different phenotypes. Again, this is again very, very advanced, and sometimes there are a lot of medicine students or medical doctors also specializing in these fields, because that's much more closer to their background. Today, we are going to focus on, as dietitians, we are going to focus on more on what changes can we do in the dietary habits, even physical activity, their lifestyle modifications, and demographics and clinical features. Sorry, is there a question? No. All right, can we have the next slide, please? So first thing that I would always do, and it's a good approach, that gives you an overview of your client. So I call it ABCD approach. So you need to get their anthropometry, which is their height and weight, at least that's minimum, that can tell you about how much far or close they are from the national or international guidelines, whichever you follow. You can do the BMI to get a general perspective how they are. However, BMI sometimes could be not very perfect. BMIs are generally used for more clinical studies rather than for individual data, but you can look at their percentiles, that how they are matching the, which percentile they are matching to. That's a good way to do that. Or even in certain situations when you can't do like height for certain people, if they are on wheelchair, it's really hard to do the height. You can do arm circumferences, mid upper arm circumference, head circumference, waist circumference, or even children or somebody who's bedridden. It's difficult to get the height and weight, so we use different anthropometry measurements. The other is biochemical. So any of the blood tests, you need their blood sugars or cholesterol levels or liver function tests or iron studies. All of those blood tests are called biochemical. Clinical history and examination is basically for dietitians, is physical examination. We do not do much more than, but you can have a look at their skin type, nails, any rashes on the skin, hair, if hair is falling. So those kind of, you can also talk about these kind of symptoms, because different deficiencies, as you know, are related to different symptoms. So you can ask about these, any of this clinical history they might have. Then the most important part is dietary assessment. So dietary assessment is the heaviest part that we need to do, and it's very, very detailed. So it's not just asking what do you eat, or just giving a dietary plan that, okay, do you have diabetes? I'm giving you this plan and just follow this diet chart. If you do like this, it's never going to work, because you might be giving a perfect diet chart, which, some of the ingredients from whatever you've written, the person cannot afford. They may be allergic to that, whatever you've written, or it could be beyond their limit. It could be, the place they are living, certain things are not available at all. So there is a much more background information that you actually need when you're doing your dietary assessment. So what do we do in there? Next slide, please. So when you are doing dietary assessment, to know how much is enough for your client, first thing that we can do is calorie in and calorie out. The most common method is just like calculating according to their body weight. So like it could range between 35 to 50 kilocalories per kg body weight. But if you have if you are lucky enough, you have indirect calorimetry and you can measure. So the recent advancement is there here. A lot of dietitians are using indirect calorimeter, and where you can actually calculate their RQs and oxygen and carbon dioxide ratio, and calculate indirect calorimetry. I particularly use Weir equation. So if you're doing indirect calorimetry, you can use this equation, and the assessment of calorie requirements is much perfect. But if you use anything like Schofield equation, we used to use Schofield equation from a long time, but Schofield equation usually overestimates. It can overestimate caloric requirement. And if you are wanting your clients to lose weight, and you're using Schofield equation for their BMR estimation, you might be actually giving them more calories than they required. Sometimes in quick clinical, when I do not have access to indirect calorimetry, I do use the minimum limit for the people, those who I want to lose weight, and the higher limit where I want to gain them to gain some weight, or somewhere in the middle when I feel that the person is okay, weight is not a concern, I need to concentrate on some other parameters. Maybe if they have, like, say, some kidney issue, or they are here just for, not really, just like raise cholesterol, but their weight is okay still. So you can use any of these three depending on the availability of resources that you are within, but it's generally good to have some parameters, some measurement before you give them that, okay, this much calories is good enough for you. Each country have their own dietary guidelines to follow, so you can follow those dietary guidelines, but that doesn't mean that you need to follow each and everything. They are guidelines. They are not just statements that you have to follow. They are telling you that if you are within this boundary, you will be safe, but you always need to tweak here and there according to your individual client, because your client will be different. Your client is never the perfect person based on whom these dietary guidelines are made, right? So it's good to follow them so that you have a background, but not completely relying on them. Then third part is really, really important, to decide the portion size. How much should I give? I know the total calorie, then how you distribute calories from carbohydrates, proteins, and fats, and how much of portions are good enough. Again, that is determined by different reasons. So if you know that the person has a condition where we need to limit the carbohydrates, then your proportion of carbohydrate would be less. If the person has some liver disease where we cannot give liberal amount of fat, then yes, you need to control the fat. There could be certain conditions like renal, you cannot overdo protein. You always have to tweak between these three things. I would usually do 40, 30, 30. That's an ideal distribution. So 40 carbohydrate, 30 protein, and 30 fat. That means 40% of total calories should come from carbohydrate, 30% from protein, and 30% from fats. Now, again, as I said, depending on the individual, you can tweak it to 50, 20, 30, or whatever. You can always change the proportion. So energy balance in and out, again, is dependent on many, many factors. It's not just you are breathing in, breathing out, but there are many factors that are involved. So when you are suggesting any person, or even asking about the information that, how much, what are you eating, what are your, timings of meals, and other related factors. So you need to actually think about all of those things whenever you're thinking about energy in. So what's going in individual's body depends on their appetite, how good or bad the person's appetite is. Then what type of foods are consumed. So the things that you need to consider there is the availability of the food, palatability, energy density, sleep quality, education, socioeconomic status, and culture. These all will influence food consumed. Then calories absorbed. So there is a difference between food consumed and calories absorbed. Not all food that is consumed has calories. That's one thing. Then how you prepare food, the age of the person, if the person has any chronic conditions, the microbiome of individual. You'll see that some people can eat anything, but they don't gain weight. Some people, they just say that even if I drink water, I gain weight. So that's what makes us individually different. And then there is the biggest factor, which sort of as a dietitian, we were ignoring from past so many years, that there are a lot of psychological factors that actually influence our eating. And when you are talking with your clients, I focus the most on psychological factors, then go towards the science, real science, because first we need to think about and get information about all psychological factors. What are the reasons this person, if the person is consuming these foods, what are the reasons why they like certain food? Or are they stressed? Are they eating more when they are stressed, or are they eating less when they are stressed? Is that affecting their sleep? or what's their, you know, family relationship? Is that helping or influencing their food or food habits? Everything you need to know. And that's what it makes every individual different. And we have to be really precise in getting individuals' information. Okay. Energy out again could be different. And as we all say, we say energy in, energy out. It looks very simple, but it's not as simple. It's not easy as anything else that, you know, the maths is not so easy. If it was, then maybe we didn't need to learn or know about nutrition. So energy out is your energy burnt at rest, which we call BMR. So which is my main area of my research, which I work the most. So BMR is the amount of energy that your body will burn even if you're doing nothing. So when you are sleeping, your body is using the fuel for your vital functions. That's your energy burnt at rest. Then on top of that, we burn some extra calories. So those extra calories we burn if you're doing any intentional exercise, unintentional, just walking, doing some household works, or moving in your, say, in your college, university, we do spend energy everywhere. And energy burned by metabolizing food. So that's the place where your body is actually, if you choose the right food, you can burn more calories here. So for burning your whatever food that you are consuming, maybe carbohydrate, fat, or protein, your body is spending energy in using that food. Okay, so that has to be considered when we are thinking about what are the energy out. Okay, next slide, please. So these are some of the examples of all dietary guidelines. So these are dietary guidelines that Australia has. They are very vague and very broad. And that's why I said they are very general, and then how to put into your practice is up to dietitians or educationists, that you can always tweak it based on your client requirements. But overall, if you take care, they are meant to be intended to be right for general population, not specific. Okay, so if you are doing a consultation for a specific person, they should be modified. So to achieve and maintain a healthy weight, be physically active, choose various amounts of nutritious foods and drink to meet your energy need, enjoy a wide variety of nutritious food. And we have 5 food groups that we commonly talk about, which is your grains or carbohydrates. Then there is proteins, then there are fruits, vegetables, and fats. So these are 5 food groups that we generally talk about. Limiting intake of any foods that contain saturated fat, added salt, added sugars, and alcohol. Processed food.
Zoom meeting dietary food habits.
अच्छा group meeting
Encourage, support, and promote breastfeeding, and care for your food. Prepare and store it safely. So as you can see, these two are not directly nutrition. Here some
जो भी अटेंड करना चाह रहे हैं कर ले सकते हैं.
Sorry, can we please mute the mics? Okay, so food storage and preparation is very, very essential, and we will come back to it because we are also talking about fuel for the future, and that's why it's included in your guidelines. Okay, next slide, please. All right. So this is, I got hold from, I think it might be old. I don't know if India has some new dietary guidelines or that's been changed, but India has a long list of dietary guidelines. So, but I really like, they're quite detailed and quite good. So if you look at them, they are the elaborated version of those 5 guidelines. And we all get our dietary guidelines from WHO guidelines. and whatever suits our own country, our own population, we do make our own dietary guidelines. So India also says eat variety of foods, ensure that pregnant and lactating women, they get their own, there is, so promote exclusive breastfeeding, which is again here. Feed home-based semi-solid foods to the infant after 6 months, because that's really crucial time. Ensure adequate and appropriate diets for children, adolescents, both in health and sickness. Eat plenty of vegetables and fruits. Ensure moderate use of edible oils, animal fats, and very less use of ghee, butter, and vanaspati, which we forget and we just do the reverse. But I can see they're quite similar. It just elaborated here. Can we have the next one, please? What we need to avoid or limit, this is very, very important. So avoid overeating, exercise regularly, restrict salt, ensure safe use of safe and clean foods, adopt right pre-cooking processes and appropriate cooking methods. That's really, really important. It's important for our health. It's important for environment, and it's important for sustainability of foods. We will come back to this point again as well. It's really important. And water also is part of nutrition. We always forget, and sometimes to the clients, we do not even ask, do you drink enough water, or what are your hydration levels? Because most of the time I realize people, my clients say, I am hungry at these times, when I talk about their water intake, and they don't even drink water. So sometimes when we realize we are thirsty, we are hungry, they're actually thirsty. So as you increase the hydration level of your clients, you'll see their extra snacks or big portion sizes, they just get modified as they increase their water content. So drinking plenty of water is really, really important. And when we say drinking, means really, really water. Drinking will not include your fizzy drinks or any other tea or coffee. They dehydrate you more rather than giving you hydration. So you have to be really careful in explaining to your clients what does fluid means. You can include milk, you can include green tea and water, but you cannot include fizzy drinks, or you cannot include coffee and tea in your drinks for the day. Minimizing use of processed foods, that's been always said, and include micronutrient rich foods in the diet of elderly to enable them to be fit and active. And you can see how they have included the dietary guidelines from somebody who's just born to elderly people. It's very inclusive of all types of population. It's taking care of entire lifespan. It's taking care of safety of foods. It's taking care of avoiding physical foods. Avoiding processed foods, increasing physical activity. It's very, very inclusive. So it's really important for as a dietitian as well, that we remember all of these guidelines when we are talking to your clients. Next, please. So now coming back to your individual client. So when you are sitting with your client, it's always good to explain them in a way that they can understand. If you are talking about in terms of grams, or if you're talking in terms of this cup, 1 cup and 2 cup, they might not understand what does 1 cup means. 1 cup could be 1 drinking cup, it could be 1 measuring cup, or they might have 10 different sizes of cups or katori even in their houses. So it's the recent one that we are actually using is the size of your palms and fist. So in precision nutrition, we use a lot of this because that would be same. So 1 palm size is good for me. If somebody is taller than me, their palm will be bigger, but that portion size will be appropriate for that person. And that's how we can actually give the right portion for each individual as they actually need. Right? So a good plate, which we can see it here, like it's really colorful. 1 to 2 palms of protein dense food at each meal. So if it's meat, chicken, red meat, fish, I generally say palm size is good enough. if it is plant-based sources, then we can have 2 palms. So if you say have dry lentils or dry beans, then 2 palms of that. That's why it says here 1 to 2 palms, because depends if it is animal-based protein food or plant-based protein. 1 to 2 fists of vegetables at each meal. I would say personally 2 fists minimum. We do need 2 fists, means whatever you can get here. So 2 fists is around 2 cups of vegetables. So that's really, really important. We do need, because most of the time in breakfast, you might not eat vegetables. So you have vegetables in your lunch and your dinner only. So you need at least 2 fists each time to cover all your vitamins and minerals intake. 1 to 2 cupped handfuls of carbohydrates at most meals. This is really, really important, because usually most of the diet, especially in India, the diet is carbohydrate based. And we have more carbohydrate and less protein and less vegetables. We need to reverse the proportion. So as you can see on the screen, half of your plate, if that's covered with vegetables, and you cover rest half with quarter of it with protein and quarter of it with your carbohydrates, that generally gives a good proportion of your meals. And if you can convert these palms and fist size of food, that will cover your 1 good plate size. And if you're talking about fat, so 1 to 2 thumbs. So say if you are seeing any client who is not educated, they have come from some village, has no idea about measuring cups and any other measurements, gram or kilograms. If you tell them that you have this much of protein, you have 2 of this of rice, you have 2 fists of vegetables, they will understand. Even if they don't speak your language, they come from a different background, they're speaking different language. But if you're showing them this with a food model, that if it is this rice, then you eat 2 of this, they will understand. So precision nutrition is very, very easy to follow and to explain to the to your clients, and it's really convenient for both dietitians and the client to understand. Okay, next, please. For dietitians, I just added this slide so that all of us knows that what does this mean. So 1 palm of protein will give 22 grams of protein, 2 grams of carbs, 4 grams of fat, and 130 for female. And for men, it will be a little bit higher because men's palm is obviously bigger than female. So protein could be a little bit bigger. Carbs, maybe not much difference, because most of the protein foods do not have carbohydrates. And fats could be a little bit more because the portion is bigger. Calorie wise, there is a 15 kilocalories different, and same as for veggies and carbohydrates and fats. So you can see there is slight difference in each of the food groups, but it's really convenient. Sometimes it's really quick way to calculate how much they are eating as well. Even if you're asking them how much you are eating, how much rice do you eat, if they tell that, okay, I eat 4 of this fist, then you can count, okay, they might be consuming this much of calories from rice. It's really convenient when you are converting them, rather than going into some software and trying to calculate how much of calories they are consuming. Really quick and easy. Next, please. So once you've done, you have, you know about how much food they are consuming. Other than that, the biggest factor is individual factor, which actually affects that how one individual could be different to the other person. 2 people can be eating the same amount of food, same type of food, but their effect of food on their body would be completely different. Why is that? So that could be due to so many different, and we call it individual factors. It could be what time they are consuming their meals. So timing could be, is that person eating 5 meals a day, 3 meals a day, or they are eating earlier in the day. Are they having really late dinners? So if you had your dinner at 6 p.m. and the other person is having dinner at 11 p.m. and then straight away going to sleep, their metabolism will be completely different. So time of meals are really, really important. And as a dietitian, we need to always record what time they are consuming when you are noting down what meals they are consuming. Also, when prescribing the diet, you need to tell them, look, these are the right time for your meals. So you need to know their routine, if they are working, not working, if they are students, if they are adults, you need to know to make a proper meal plan for them. Okay, and that should always include time, and you need to explain them why you are putting that time down and how important for them is to be around that time. They could be 30 minutes plus minus at times, but they have to be close to that. Physical activity levels. So you need to first know as a dietitian whether they are sedentary, moderate, or vigorous, so that when you are calculating their energy levels, you need to multiply it with some activity factor. So when you are using even indirect calorimetry or you are using Schofield equation, every equation will utilize physical activity level. So you need to know what type of physical activity they are doing. Also, when you are prescribing, you need to add that physical activity level on top of their BMR. Sleep. Sleep is the, so it works both ways. If the person is not eating well, the sleep will be affected. Or if for some other reason the person is not having proper sleep, that will affect their appetite. It might affect their eating patterns. It might affect their eating behaviors. So sleep is really, really important component in our dietary assessment and evaluation, and also recommendation. You need to give proper importance to this, and we need to explain and talk to your clients about this, why sleeping proper time at proper time is really important. Having no phones during sleep times, and the things that we actually tell to our children, it's applicable for everyone. So it's really important that how we can have a good, quiet, proper sleep. Stress levels, of course, if somebody is stressed, their hormones will be affected in a different way, which will then affect their appetite, which will affect their metabolism. So stress levels, again, important. You need to know about their stress levels. You need to know what they are working or their family situations, anything that is causing them stress. And then if they are stressed, then you need to think of the strategies or suggest them with something which can help them reduce their stress. And this you can do in, you don't have to think or come up with a recommendation on yourself. These things we generally ask the clients. I like to ask from my clients rather than just giving them suggestions all the time, like asking them what you can do, because if the solution is coming from them, they are more likely to do it for longer time, rather than if you are saying that, okay, if you are stressed, you listen to this music. They might just not like that music, and they might listen it for 10 days and they say, oh no, that's not my type of music and I'm not listening it at all. So you need to come up with a strategy. If they like to do exercise when they're stressed, they like to go for a walk, they like to listen to a music, they like to meditate, whatever, but that has to come from your client. Alcohol, if they consume alcohol or not, the time, type, frequency, everything is important. As we know, alcohol adds to the calorie. So we need to know, and it can then affect the appetite as well. It can affect the metabolism, the whole metabolic system. So we need to know about the alcohol consumption. Smoking, with these two things getting really, really very common in population worldwide, and even in India, I assume it's these two risk factors, I would say, are increasing exponentially. So we need to talk about it. Sometimes we think that it's not under our area of work, but as a dietitian, we need to know about all of these factors. What type of medications they are actually on, because there might be some nutrient drug interaction. They could be on some medication that is affecting their appetite. They could be on some medication that is affecting their gut health, which is causing them constipated or causing them diarrhea or something else. So you need to always have a good information about medications. I'm not asking you to learn about all the medications. We are not pharmacists, but common medications, and especially those which can cause any discomfort that is related to nutrition and dietetics that can affect our our work. We should know that. And supplements, nowadays people consume hundreds types of supplements. We get so many in the market, which sometimes we just don't need them. So we need to ask them, because they can interfere with your recommendations. We need to at least have an information. If they are having something which is already good, then perfect. Or if they can interfere with something that you are recommending, at least you need to let them know. Eating behaviors, that's really, really important. And it is getting very common, stressed eating behavior. As I very briefly mentioned earlier, some people eat more when they are stressed. Some people eat less when they are stressed. There could be different age group when, like, especially girls, I would say, but boys are also very health conscious these days. So they, at certain age, especially teenage time or adolescence, they stop eating most of the food. They want to be in good shape. And there's a lot of stigma around weight, and in this age group especially, and I would say in the field of dietetics as well, there is a lot that a dietitian needs to be from looking like from a perfect weight and have a good body frame. So these things can actually influence eating behaviors. What I focus more on in, like, when I'm consulting my clients, so more than talking about their weight, I talk about their eating behaviors, because if you treat their eating behaviors and the reasons behind it, you can treat many other weight is one thing, but GI problems, you can treat their sometimes some chronic diseases factors as well, because this can actually affect sleep. This can affect stress levels. This could affect people consuming more alcohol or going towards more smoking. So if eating behavior is disregarded, it can influence many other things. So really, really very important area. Next slide, please. So the new nutrition approach is to take care of everything when you are consulting your client. You need to think about biological dimension, where the food is, like what they are consuming. As what we usually do, a traditional dietitian would only focus on biological dimension. So what type of food you're consuming, what disease that they have, and we just treat that particular condition or disease. But now the role of dietitian is much more beyond that, right? We need to know and sort of try to help them around their social dimensions as well. So what kind of food they is culturally accepted, what they can afford, what is sustainable for them, what type of food is right for that individual. You cannot prescribe a diet which is really alien to them, or a diet which none of the other family members are consuming, because they are not going to make two different meals, right? What if 2 or 3 people have different dietary requirements? They are not going to follow unless you are coming with a solution that a list of foods, maybe, or type of foods that are good for everyone. So you cannot ignore social dimension. Economic dimension, their affordability. So whether their food are whatever you are prescribing as safe and nutritious food, can they afford it? Is it accessible? Do they live in a place where if you are recommending you go and eat chicken or paneer or mushroom, can they afford it? Is it available in the area? Or you're just prescribing it because you know that they are the best foods or good food, or go and eat avocado, or you eat kale or something that might be available in big cities but not in all places. So you need to know your client really, really well, and do not go by a piece of paper. Never ever go by a piece of paper which is like given to, just printed and given to all clients. That is never going to work. And that's one of the reason why most of the clients, they see a dietitian and they do not come back, because most of the time they cannot follow whatever you are suggesting, and they either think it's their failure, they could not do it, or they think that dietitian knows nothing. Both of the things are not right and not good for either yourself as a dietitian or your clients. So you need to actually look at all of those things. And environmental dimensions, which is government policies or work environment, the area where they live, the school where they go. Is everyone promoting sustainable food, or everyone is just going on more processed foods and saying that this is more trendy and we all should go, that kind of food? So what is the environment provoking them to consume? Next, please. So these external factors that actually are nowadays influencing everyone's diet a lot. If you look at your parents' diet or grandparents' diet, was completely different to what we are consuming nowadays, because there are a lot of factors that are influencing our diet at the moment. Environment. We are all living in obesogenic environment, and I say this because our parents or even their parents used to walk a lot. They did everything manually. We need machines for everything. We have phones to order food. We have, cars to just go anywhere. Everything is so accessible. You can just order things like, online ordering. You don't even need to go to the shops to get things. That's obesogenic environment, because that's not helping you. It's telling you to do less physical activity. Whereas when we were younger, we used to walk, like, to see a friend, we would walk 2 kilometers, 3 kilometers to see family and friends. But nowadays, no one does that kind of walking. Every food is available just next door. You just walk out your, lane wherever you're living, and you have 10 or 20 different shops or stores with, they would have pizzas and your mirchi, whatever, your samosas. I'm from Jodhpur, so I always say mirchi vada first. But your samosas or burgers or bakery, all different type of stores are available, so much easily available. Finances do affect. So if you are good with money, you can afford all of these food, just go and get that food. Sometimes healthy foods are expensive. So if you want to eat high protein diet, if you are recommended to have a high protein diet, but they are expensive, you cannot afford it. Getting, rice and potatoes, they are cheaper. So, you might have to just go with those foods that you can afford. So finances are really, really important. As a dietitian, you need to know what is their weekly or monthly budget on food, so that you can actually plan a diet for them which suits their finances. You need to know what kind of environment they are living. Are they working in an office where the food is supplied from their office canteen? So you need to know what type of food they're supplied, and you cannot say that you carry food with you when they are not allowed to. They only need to get a food from their office kitchen or their hostel kitchen, wherever they are. So it's important to know about the environment. It's important to know about their finances. Government policies do play an important part in that as well, because they are controlling environment, they control finances, and also we, as a group of dietitians, as consumers, you can actually advocate to have proper government policy where they can control the prices, they can make more healthier things available to most of the population. So it could influence vice versa. So government policies affect our food, but I always advocate that, as a group of health professionals, we should be advocating, because they might not be knowing that what are the requirements from dietitian perspective, let's say that. And these all will determine your client's affordability and accessibility of food. And then we will go to sustainability. So why we talk about sustainability? And these are just talking about there are different levels of factors. I would just explain very briefly on their individual factors, social, physical, and macro levels. So if you look at, this is the small factor. So what I want, it could be like and dislike and my personal preferences. But when when say this man goes out in their social environment, there would be many other things that will affect. So where they are working, where they are moving with, who they are sitting with, what kind of work they are doing. If you look at the bigger perspective, they would be all physical environments. So what area they are living, what country or city or remote village, what type of place they are living, what are their accessibility. So do they have restaurants around them, or there is nothing? Do they have some fresh food available over there, or they don't have any fresh food available? What are the pricing of food that is closer to their home? And then there are macro level environment, where the food system and these government policies and the big factors that can influence your or food can come into place. Okay, so two perspectives of looking at the factors that can actually affect individuals' intake. And we need to be aware of all of those factors to provide precision nutrition to your clients. Next, please. So I will quickly, I think we might be going over on time, quickly talk about one of my case studies. So there was a person, this name is not true, John Smith, 54 years, male. He had type 2 diabetes. He's a smoker, non-alcoholic, very sedentary, doesn't do anything, no working. He's on disability pension. He lives alone in a temporary accommodation, which might be, he might lose very soon. So he has no place to support him. He has no family, no friends, no one. He knows literally no one. He doesn't know to cook. He knows to toast bread and prepare tea, coffee, or something, very minimal things. His budget is very low because he's on pension, very low budget. He knows what foods, he has diabetes from long time. He's been to many health professionals. He knows what food are good for him. But because of all of these restrictions, he cannot actually have all of those. So his motivation is very low. He has no reason to, keep himself healthy. His confidence is very low. Next, please. So what do we do for such kind of client? If you think that if I just prepare a diet chart, or I give my ready-made diet chart to him, do you think that's going to work? It's not going to work. He will just chuck it in some corner. So for giving him proper good recommendation, I need to know everything surrounding him, right? As you can see the network here, he is alone, but he's actually linked with so many different factors and reasons and people, which is affecting his health, his eating and accounts, finances, everything. So I need to basically first assess his requirements. I can do calorie in, calorie out, and all those basic things. I need to know, because he's diabetic, what his sugar levels are like, know about his dietary preferences, clear picture of his budget, cooking skills, readiness, provide basic education with the diabetes, whatever are the requirements. If he has not much understanding, then I can make a plan. But you can make a bigger plan, but then you have long-term and short-term goals. If you just give a long-term, a big non-achievable target to a client, he's not going to come back thinking that he's a failure. So you need to give something one step at a time. Okay, so just something that you think is doable, achievable. Make short-term goals. Maybe just create a list of foods together with him. That okay, what are the 10 foods, 10 ingredients that is always in your house, and then we can start with them. And then agreement regarding the time and quantity of the food. Arrange if there is any free food, you always get some donors, or if there is some place where they have low cost food, whatever is working in your area. I just got some examples from here, but you can think of whatever works for your situations. Any help with employment if you can. So you need to actually look at all other parameters. If you can, how you can increase his budget. Is there any government support available? Any place for him to live after 4 weeks? You need to fix all of these small things which might not be straight away related to dietetics, but you need to fix them before you actually tell him what is good and what is not so good for him. And work on smoke cessation at the same time. So again, for this, we can go and take small steps. So you can be actually doing 2, 3, 4 things in different areas. And that's why you make short-term and long-term goals, so that you're not overburdening your client and they are not overwhelmed that, oh my God, there are so many things, I can never do that. Okay, so you have to make really achievable targets. And that's really, really important in precision nutrition. And that's very individualized plan. That's just for John. If I get somebody else, if I get a Maria, the requirements, if they have the similar situation, like diabetes and same age, but they might have personal situations which are different. So I need to come up with something else, some other plan for Maria. It's very important as a dietitian that we know that you cannot have same piece of printed paper and just keep giving to your clients. It's never going to work. Next slide, please. So while we are talking about sustainable diet, I thought I will include very little bit of it, because that's the theme of this year, Fuel for the Future. And it's not only for the future, it's if we follow sustainable diet, we can actually, it's easier way to redeem our health. Because what is sustainable diet? It's asking us to reduce use of packaged and processed food, which also is included in your dietary guidelines. If you talk about Australian and Indian as well, both are saying the same thing. Use refillable water instead of buying water. So there's a lot of ongoing trend to just buy water, the ready-made water bottles, because they just look trendy and they're easy. But we are just adding plastic to the environment. We need to be careful about that, and you're wasting money. If you can keep your water bottle with yourself and refill wherever you can, that's the best way to do that. Always choosing water instead of different colas or any other drinks that are available these days, or even homemade. In India is a wealth of homemade, fresh, organic things. So we have so much of like lemon drinks, or what you call chas, and so many different types of drink that we do at home. We are getting away from our drinks and just trying to be more westernized and getting more of colas and those kind of drinks, which is actually not healthy. And here, actually, everyone is going back to detox water and cucumber drink and lemon drink and mint drink, which in India we are going away from. Homemade snacks. Again, we used to, when I was a kid, I rarely had biscuits, and those things were like our treats. We always had homemade, snacks. And nowadays, chips, and I don't know, hundreds of different types of chips that are available in our market there. So avoid them. Buy local. Always prefer the food products that are available, grown, made, packaged in the place where you are living, and as opposed to always going for something, oh, this is imported, let me buy that. That looks like really cool, and that's really, it might not be adding any health benefits to you. Rather, it might be, high in sodium, it might be high in salt or sugar. Grow your own fruits, veggies, and herbs. If you have little bit of space, you can always, grow your own tomatoes, your coriander or mint leaves or chilies, or, have a small little kitchen garden. No plate waste. I've always realized in India, we do a lot of plate wastage. At homes, people would, take a big plate and leave food and just throw it away. And I just always, I sometimes am in argument with people on this. I just don't like plate waste. You have a small portions. If you know you're not going to eat it, you have small portions, because there might be someone else who need that. If you have a lot of food, just donate, give it to somebody else. People have like big weddings and those parties, and all the food that is left is just thrown away. Give them to, for a donation to somebody who might need. So that's really important, that we always take care of that. There is no plate waste. It's not cool. Food storage, how you store food, how you raw food as well as prepared food is really, really important for future. And reduce use of plastic. So what kind of storage you are using? Less of plastics, use more of glass or steel utensils. You are saving the environment by this. And I would recommend always, when you are doing recommendations, touch on these things with your clients. Why? Next slide, please. So why we need to talk about these things? These sustainable diets have low environmental impacts. That means we have food available for longer amount of time. It's not going to make our air dirty or increase noise pollution or any other kind of pollution. There is food and nutrition security for all. Healthy life for present and future population. Is more biodiverse. This nutrition is safe and healthy for everyone. And we can optimize natural and humans resource for long amount of time. And if you follow all of these things, we can reduce the impact of chronic diseases, which is ever growing in all parts of the world. Your obesity, diabetes, cardiovascular diseases, cancers, this is all increasing because we are going away from more natural food towards more processed foods, high sugar, high sodium, high fat, just to believe that we are getting more and more modern. That's not modernity. So modernity is to have sustainable diet, which you can take for longer. Next, please. Which should be, so this is like a quick slide. I'll just show it quickly. This is SDGs form part of 2020 agenda, where you can see that how diet quality is related to all sustainable development goals. Next, please. So as a dietitian, I would just wrap my talk saying this, that as a dietitian, we must always, and we do have public health nutrition here as well. So public health nutrition always talk about 3 Ps, right? So promote, protect, and prevent. So we need to promote healthy lifestyle. We need to protect chronic diseases, because that's going to be really, really big in future. It's already going big actually, but in future it could be really vast. And we prevent food insecurity. By doing, if we focus on these 3 things while doing our dietary guidelines, and focus on precision nutrition. So when you focus on precision nutrition, you can actually align with these 3 guidelines, or these 3 prime factors that you should be focusing at. And that is it. I think that should be my last slide. We have the next slide. I think that's the last one. Yeah, thank you very much. Thanks for listening so patiently. I got a little bit, I think, over time. Any questions?
Girls, if you have any questions, you can please unmute yourself and just ask, or you can make use of the chat box also.
Yeah, I can open my chat here. I think you are muted. I can't hear you.
Yeah, are you able to hear me now?
Yes, yeah. Now it's all good.
Saying the overtime didn't say no act upon us because we are completely engrossed in your talk.
Thank you. I didn't
Things. So I'm sure students also would be feeling that. I wish anytime when you come to India, we would have a offline talk.
Sure, we can do that.
Yeah. Any questions, girls? As I said, yeah. Yes, there's a lecturer from one of our colleges, Arjuman, who says, thank you for sharing your knowledge.
You're welcome. It was my pleasure. Okay, maybe if somebody can put here, what was something new that you learned today?
Yes.
Just one word, 2 words. Yeah.
About the palm size portion.
Yeah. That's really handy. It's very good. And it works so well with any type of clients that you have.
About the case study, how very well how you have managed.
Thanks.
It was interesting and new, the palm portion.
Because as most of you will go from, you finish your studies and go into practice, you might feel there is a big difference between what you sometimes, see in theory and what you do in practice. So it's really good when you widen your horizon and you are ready for any of these aspects as well.
Correct. It's a day-to-day challenge when you practice.
Yes. And with experience, you always learn these things, isn't it?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes, Sarah Vikhar says Australian dietary guidelines.
Yeah. They're not very, they're very short. As opposed to India. Got to know the steps. Yeah.
Yeah. How we can handle tough situations where we don't have.
Yeah. Don't lose hope. If you lose hope, your clients will lose hope.
Yes. It was of great help, says Pakhar, to know that the point where we can sit down with the client and yes. Revati, you have to talk something. You have she's a lecturer of nutrition.
Hi, Revati.
Thank you for sharing good points in counseling patients.
Thank you very much.
Right. So, no more questions as such. Probably it is a homework for all the participants to go back and look at the precision nutrition.
Yeah, you can follow up with that. Yeah.
True. So that we can share any of the questions with Dr. Kaveri.
Sure.
Mail. Yeah, Sabah Sultana is asking, are there any potential drawbacks to precision nutrition?
I would not say drawbacks, but it will not come at once. You need a lot of patience and you need time. So all the information that I mentioned today, your client might not give you in your first meeting. So you have to be really very patient. You might need more follow-ups to collect all this information, and be really patient and slow with them. And that's why making the like short-term goals is helpful in doing that.
Correct. Very well
You
said.
might need follow-ups. You cannot give a perfect diet plan or create a perfect meal plan by seeing your client just once. That could be a challenge.
Yes, yes. As you said, that might come with much more of experience. Like you see them and you and with in a meet as such when
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
For
It's
beginners
very
and
natural. Yeah.
at least 2 to 3 meetings are needed.
Yes. Yeah.
Mhm.
And how you encourage your clients to come for second and third meeting, that's entirely up to you. So you need to actually, as a dietitian, you need to know how to sell yourself for that, how to encourage your clients to come back to you.
Correct, correct.
You need to leave them sometimes with a question, so that they need the answer for that question and they want to come back to get the answer for that. Or give a small challenge, give a task. I usually give them like a food record and compare before and after the session, so and evaluate themselves. So if they find that yes, there was a big difference between before and after their session, they will come back. So you can create your own tools.
Yes. Okay, as there are no more questions asked in the chat box, we will wind up the session. Now, may I now request Chimaila, our assistant professor at Department of Nutrition, to propose the vote of thanks.
Before we conclude the session, ma'am, I just would like to extend our heartfelt gratitude to our esteemed guest speaker, Dr. Kaveri Datta, who has joined us to enlighten us on the topic precision nutrition. Precision nutrition is a rapidly evolving discipline that holds immense promise in improving the health and well-being, ma'am. Ma'am has thoroughly explained us about some common rules like how to measure calorie requirement and how, depending upon an individual, we need to personalize the recommendations. Importance of following dietary guidelines and deciding on the portion sizes that suits the individual, and also about the concepts of counting macros and other individual factors like dietary assessment and other nutrition approach, and also about the recommendation of sustainable diet. We are truly fortunate to have such an accomplished individual to share the knowledge and expertise with us. Ma'am, your insight and expertise have undoubtedly enriched and our understanding about precision nutrition. On behalf of the faculty and the students, I would like to extend our sincere thanks for taking the time out to educate and inspire us, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. That was a pleasure to me. I really enjoyed the session.
Our pleasure, totally. Thank you so much for accepting the invitation and doing a great job. Thank you so much, ma'am.
You're welcome. I got to know some new people in my life, so that's really good.
Yes, yes.
Nice meeting you. Thanks.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thanks. Thanks, Shamala.
Girls, the feedback link is shared in the group. Kindly fill the feedback form as well.
Thank you.
Ma'am, do I wind up the session? Beulah, did you share the feedback link?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Ma'am, I'm concluding the session.
Yes, Chimaila? Feedback link. Please post it again, Beulah. Yes, it is posted again. Kindly check. Safety, ma'am, and all.
Ma'am, do I conclude the meet?
Yes, Simala. I was asking you if the YouTube link has been stopped sharing.